Hello there everyone, we will be starting in a couple of moments. Hello there, welcome to this session. You can only hear me, you won't be able to see me for this one as it is the healing session. So the reason for that is so I can have a look at your energy, especially when it comes to you as a group, to figure out what is the group thing to work through as I work through the questions. And the questions are anything to do with your life and the things that are going on at the moment that you would like me to have a look at. So before we start, just to update you on a couple of things. If you have the Tree of Life course, the Sledgehammer to Codependence course, the super bonus is now in place. Okay, so it's now in place for you to pick up. Sorry about that. Sorry for the delay. I strongly, very strongly think that that super bonus is actually extremely helpful to your life moving forward. So I highly recommend that you do get in to watch it. It's a video. It's not massively long, but the content of it you will find really, really helpful, especially if you've completed the Sledgehammer to Codependence course. Okay, and also Kabbalah Magic. Some of you have been asking about that. It will be on sale through all of February. Why is it? Well, because it's come up at the moment. It's released once a year, and due to Inspire, you won't hear about it other than particularly on here, because there is no Kabbalah Magic Masterclass this month, but there will be a Masterclass which will be taking place next week. I'll explain that at the end of this session, but it won't be on Kabbalah Magic. Okay, so also we've got Inspire UK tickets coming out on sale. I know you've been asking a lot for these to go on sale, and I do apologise for the slight delay on that. So they will be available this week. You will get details on that, and of course you will have the newsletter this week as well, which gives you your life code predictions and the reading for the month. Okay, so before we start, I am going to read you something that I think is exceptional. Just bear with me a second. Now this is something really quite handy, and it was actually Joanne, who is a circle member, who sent it through to me, or sent it through to Alison to send it on to me, and I think it's really good actually, and it's from the elders of the Hopi Nation, which I think is American Indians. Yeah, I think it's American Indians. Okay, so from the elders of the Hopi Nation, to my fellow swimmers, here is a river flowing very fast. It is so great and swift that there are those who will be afraid, who will try to hold on to the shore. They are being torn apart and will suffer greatly. Know that the river has its destination. The elders say we must let go of the shore, push off into the middle of the river, and keep our heads above water. And I say, see who is there with you and celebrate. At this time in history, we are to take nothing personally, least of all ourselves. For the moment we do, our spiritual growth and journey come to a halt. The time of the lone wolf is over. Gather yourselves, banish the word struggle from your attitude and vocabulary. All that we do now must be done in a sacred manner and in celebration, for we are the ones we have been waiting for. Okay, I thought that was really nice, actually, and really very much sums it up. It's the Hopi message for 2017, so it's looking at the year ahead. So I'll just read that again, just very quickly, because now you've heard it the first time, it's a little bit further into it that you'll really kind of get what this means. Okay, so to my fellow swimmers, here is a river flowing now very fast. It is so great and swift that there are those who will be afraid, who will try to hold on to the shore. They are being torn apart and will suffer greatly. Know that the river has its destination. The elders say we must let go of the shore, push off into the middle of the river and keep our heads above water. And I say, see who is there with you and celebrate. At this time in history, we are to take nothing personally, least of all ourselves. For the moment we do, our spiritual growth and journey come to a halt. The time of the lone wolf is over. Gather yourselves, banish the word struggle from your attitude and vocabulary. All that we do now must be done in a sacred manner and in celebration, for we are the ones we have been waiting for. Okay, I hope that is something that you bear in mind. It's certainly, obviously it's what Joanne thought in sending it through. What I have pretty much said, a very elaborate way of putting it, for what you can expect from 2017. So I would absolutely agree with that. I would say it is a time of allowing yourself to move more comfortably into that flow. I know it's an emotional risk almost pretty much to do that, but what I'm saying, as it does say here, that it will start to really pay off. Okay, so coming into the questions for this evening's session, I'm just going to do this one first, which came through to me earlier today, and I'm going to do it first because I suspect that it is an energy that actually I've had a few come in that reflect something very similar. So I'm going to start with it and see whether it is something that does impact your life in certain ways, and certainly around relationships. So Michelle's question is, I have met a lovely man who is 18 months out of his 28-year marriage. I've been divorced for 10 years and have not been involved with anyone in that time. I am a life code 4 and he is a life code 2. After the first few dates which have all gone well, we have much in common and he is easy to be around. I noticed a heavy energy around him, like he was withdrawing into his man cave. He is having an emotional meltdown with all the changes happening in his life. Really floppy, like you said. My instinct is to wade in and fix it so I don't have to look at my own emotional triggers, which are fear of abandonment and rejection. But I haven't done that. Instead, I have found a way to empathise with his situation and offer him a foundation of support and space while he makes these transitions. He is very appreciative of this. My question is, how do I let go of my own emotional triggers so I can authentically give the relationship the space to grow without me feeling an inner drama? I can't talk to him about my worries. He has enough of his own. Thank you. Okay, so what I'm going to say as far as this question is concerned, Michelle, is well done, because you have noticed, you've noticed where your energy participates within that, within the situation where you would normally wade in and rescue and solve and all of that and fix it. And, well done for stepping back from that and feeling that you're not going to do that. But at the same time, you can see that there are possibilities of putting in more than you actually receive as far as this situation is concerned. So I'm starting with this question because I think it's highly reflective anyway of the sensitive nature, but also I'm going to give you all a message within this that is elements of caution, okay, to a certain degree, but also to highlight something that you may not have come across or you may not have really approached, but is a helpful way of looking at things. Now, with this situation, Michelle, I would be saying, or I am saying rather, that the energy around it is that you are kind, sensitive, and yes, you are a very sound listening ear as far as this fellow is concerned. My concern is that yes, of course, he has situations going on in his life and he's feeling a little bit overwhelmed by them, but it doesn't give someone permission to withdraw and behave in a starting to become a kind of passive aggressive way of behaving, which is to shift the dynamic of the relationship in his favor and start to be able to, not right now, but in the future, be able to make excuses for bad behavior because he's been in a position of emotional upset. Now, I'm not saying necessarily that he will do this, but unless there is a clear boundary within this, that's exactly how it will move further down the line. He will assume that you are somebody who, or he'll begin to assume that you are someone who can take a lot of flack, and that somehow or another it's excusable because it was excused early on. Now, of course, people have upsets in their life, and likewise, Michelle, you could say that you've had plenty of upsets in your life, and in 18 months out of a 28-year marriage, okay, it's a period of time, it's a decent amount of time, and it's a decent amount of time to begin to heal and move forward. Now, what I'm saying is, Michelle, if you were in the likewise position, I think even if you were afraid, even if you were a bit scared of being involved with someone who was very nice and kind to you, which clearly you are, you wouldn't behave in the way that this man is starting to behave. You wouldn't withdraw. You would feel a little bit, overwhelmed with it, but you would start to communicate that in a much more effective way, which is more of a partnership scenario moving forward rather than one person having to take the lead in a situation. Okay, so what I'm saying to you is, I'm not so sure that he's hitting your triggers. I think your system is beginning to acknowledge some possible warning signs. Okay, some possible ones, not major ones, but I'm saying possible ones. So what I'm saying to you is, just be mindful of a boundary, okay? A boundary of decency, kindness, and personable behaviour, because no matter what goes on in a person's life, they don't have any excuse to be anything other than, yes, people have things go on, they're uncomfortable, they're unpleasant, but it doesn't give them permission to be unpleasant to another person, okay? There are reasons, but there are not excuses, okay? And I'm asking you to ask your system to be aware of the dynamic of this particular possibility, okay, in terms of this energy. And it's something, Michelle is not the only one who finds herself kind of compensating within a situation. We all do that as sensitives to try and be helpful, to try and be kind and decent, and it's not always on an equal par. I would be looking at moving forward some components of attachment issues, and I know I've mentioned this before on some of these live events. This is a classic scenario of a love avoidant. Okay, so not Michelle, this man who she's been around, which is, yes, and love avoidance can be extremely nice, very, very nice people, lovely people, kind people, sweet-natured people, but it doesn't take away from the fact that there is an energy of love avoidant going on there. So if you find that you have these kind of triggers in your life or triggers in your relationship or relationships, or you find yourself giving your heart over and then feeling profoundly disappointed by somebody's behaviour, and you feel then, upon reflection, that it must be something to do with boundaries or something to do with people are inherently selfish, then I would say have a look at two books that I strongly recommend. One is by Pia Melody, and I have to recall the title. It's called Facing Love Addiction. Very helpful book if you find yourself in push-pull situations. Michelle, this is a push-pull. It's the beginning of a push-pull. The other one is a book called Attached. Now, I can't remember the authors, but it's called Attached, The Science of Adult Attachment, I think. Adult attachment and how it can lead you to love, or something along those lines. It's a white cover, red writing, very much I know for certain it's available on Amazon. I don't think you can generally buy it in a bookshop. Very helpful, very, very helpful on giving you indications of different types of attachment styles, but also to, you're coming to a time within your development where you're going to come across some of the, not unhealed patterns, that's the wrong way of putting it, but testing your ability to create boundaries within a framework that is actually wholly acceptable to you as a very decent human being, okay? And relationships will, if you haven't had relationships around you for a while, romantic ones, and they're starting to come back in, you will find that the energy starts to come back in. That there is sometimes, quite often, a push-pull cycle in order to help you ascertain, or give you the opportunity to ascertain your boundary levels, okay? I believe that's great. So you're putting that into the feed. That's really helpful. If you can find the links, that will be extremely helpful. So the love addiction one is in there. So you can tutors put that one in, and I'm sure the attached one will start to come in a moment. I saw that somewhere. Heller is one of the authors. Heller. Very, very helpful. Okay, and I would strongly recommend those two if you find that boundaries are a little bit of a thing going on. And this, and giving you Michelle's scenario as an example where it's fine at the moment. Yeah, it's fine at the moment. But to me, energetically, and in reading what I'm reading here, there are warning signs that this person is setting it up where he will have permission to treat Michelle as not wholly as an equal within this, and it will be because of an avoidant pattern. Okay, not Michelle's, but this guy. Okay, a love avoidant energy, and because Michelle is such a nice person, it almost gives him a little bit of room and permission, as far as that's concerned, to burn off and some of his resentment from his previous situation. Okay, so it's just an awareness around boundaries. Right, so next question, I'm going to answer this one first, which is Katia, Life Kid 6. I stand in front of a major decision in life. Should I take on this massage course, or it will take me off my course? Is this the opportunity that will make money as well, or is it just a pleasant, expensive hobby? Deep gratitude for all you do, Heidi. Thank you. Well, Katia, I'm answering this because, again, it's another area for everyone. When you start to want to make that strong transition in from feeling that you are doing things in life because you're obliged to and then moving into a pattern of doing things in life because you want to, massage, for some reason or other, seems to come up as an opportunity, as a life kind of opportunity, as far as that transition is concerned. Now, yes, Katia, it could be something that you earn money from, because most certainly people are very interested as far as that's concerned. And yes, it is also an expensive hobby, but it's only an expensive hobby if you allow it to be. Okay, what it does do, in my opinion, is, where you've been interested, where in your development cycle you come across an interest in massage, it helps to bridge that gap between being uncomfortable in other people's energies to actually really being involved with other people's energies. And I did exactly the same, Katia, way back, long time ago. I'm actually a qualified massage therapist, and did all that a long time ago. But it was at the beginning of my journey. Well, not right at the beginning of my journey, sort of a fair bit in. But I would certainly look at it as it's an opportunity to kind of deepen your understanding of energy. But if it is a financial pressure, then I would say consider it, think about it. If you are committed to allowing it to be something where you earn money, then there are always people who are looking for something along those lines, okay? Looking for interaction in order to release energetic pockets in their system that they are often unconscious of, but you will come across and you will experience when you work on them, whether you then take them on as your responsibility. I learnt a lot about human energy systems when I did qualify as a massage therapist, and I did work within it for a period of time. So, it's one of those link energies, and it depends which way you want to take it, okay? So, okay, next question. Just bear with me a second. Just bear with me. Okay, so this is Monique. Hi Heidi. Monday's dilemma really resonated with me. I'm working my way through Marie Kondo's book, and I really want to clear my clutter so I can create a peaceful environment and move with ease this year. But I'm finding it so difficult to let go of my clothes. On the surface, it seems to be about lack. What if I don't have the money to buy new things? But perhaps it is related to not feeling like anything was mine. Can you feel what it's about and how I can resolve it? Thank you, Monique. Right, okay, so interesting, actually. Interesting that you're talking actually about clothes, because some of you might have read it or become aware of it. There was actually a very, very unfortunate article yesterday about a couple who kept a lot of clothes, and it was a couple I think they lived in Spain, and so many clothes. They kept so many clothes that, in actual fact, the room above where they were collapsed. So the ceiling above collapsed with the weight of all these clothes that they had been collecting and keeping over a long period of time. And it collapsed on top of them and unfortunately suffocated the whole family. So, extremely sad situation, very, very sad. And I'm not saying anything, drastic like that, Monique, but what I'm saying is that, belongings, things, all of that have a powerful hold over people. They have a really strong and powerful hold over people. So in letting things go, quite often it's a wrestle with yourself, but it's a wrestle with your emotions, and it's part of the cleansing process. So I would really encourage you to give it a go with 1 bin bag's full worth. Okay, let yourself do it and let yourself go process, those emotions at that time and let it go, and then see, and then do another bin bag, and then put it out, and then do another one as time moves on, and you'll find that it's easier and easier, because it is each time that you move something from inside your home to outside your home, it is a clearing of the inner world, because you're moving it from inside to outside. So it's very symbolic, hugely symbolic, when you start clearing your home, because it bears a strong relationship with your inner home. Okay, bears a very strong relationship with that. So if you struggle with that, rather than think that you have to do it all at once, do 1 bin bag at a time. And the key within that is to leave the bin bag outside the front door, especially if it's raining, because then you'll never bring it back in again. Okay, you leave it outside the front door, and then it makes its way to the car and makes its way to the appropriate charity or wherever it is that it's on its way to. Okay, so what you're then doing, Monique, is releasing your attachment to lack and doing it gradually, rather than feeling that you have to strip it out all in one go. Okay, and the Marie Kondo way of doing things and taking care of your world, I think, is really helpful to sensitives, and most definitely intuitive sensitives, because you then haven't got the pressure of keeping all of that energy in your inner world. Okay, because bear in mind that all your possessions hold frequency and they hold vibration. Okay, whether they are things that are relevant to now or certainly relevant to your past. So next question, Conchita. Hi Heidi, I had my first lavender session last week and have been feeling really down and self-destructive since. I was the woman in example whose father died at age 17. I don't know if I have fallen into the victim or if I'm angry about lost child innocence. It feels like I cannot move on from this dark energy, and I feel like giving up fighting. I just feel like sleeping. Any advice, insight, please? Okay, so yes, and this is relevant to everybody. Okay, this is about. Sorry, just bear with me a second because I'm just writing it down, because we're going to cover this again later. It's the lost child energy. Okay, so the lost child energy is angry. It's angry that it feels. It's to do with, when something is finally acknowledged, it makes it real, and then the energy that says, well, I'm angry, actually that was real because I thought that was part of my imagination, gets cross, because it feels like it's left, there's big chunks of its life been left out. So it feels like it's been left out. And the anger is that it's been left out. It hasn't had its full experience. It's angry it hasn't had its full experience. And I really do feel that is what you're experiencing, Conchita. It's this, I'm cross that I haven't had my full experience, that your child energy thinks, I haven't had my full experience. I'm an adult now and I haven't had my full child self experience, and I'm cross about it, and it's starting to be acknowledged. It will work its way out, but I think you're not the only one, and I think this will be an energy that we look at in a bit, to move on and to move out. Because when you have that lost child energy and it's feeling angry and it's cross that it's been left out, quite often we can find ourselves stuck, because our inner world says, well, I'm not moving forward whilst I've still got this, and then the adult self is saying, well, come on, we can't move forward until you release this. It's a bit like a small child. So for those of you who've got small or have had small children, some or had children, you'll understand what I mean, or those who have observed this, is that when a small child doesn't want to do something, it's really hard to get it to do it, because it won't be persuaded, and it goes stiff. So you're trying to get it to, as an example, to sit in a pushchair. It'll go stiff and say, I'm not doing it. Cats do the same thing. I've got a cat that, if it doesn't want to go out in the rain, will put its feet out. As soon as you take it anywhere near the cat flap and it says, no, I'm not going out, it goes stiff. And you can't do anything with it. And it's the same, it's a similar kind of energy. When something is smaller than you, what it does is it goes stiff as its ways and means of putting its point across and saying, I can't do that. It sort of pushes its legs out and says, I don't want to do that. So in terms of our inner world, when a smaller part of ourselves than our adult self says, I don't want to do it, it's like the cat. It puts its legs out, says, I'm not going out that cat flap. And the small child, which stiffens and says, I'm not, you can try all you like, but I'm going to be so stiff you can't make me sit in a pushchair. Okay, so it's that kind of stuckness that happens in terms of the inner world. It feels, you could say that it relates to the kind of freeze, the freeze automatic response in life. Okay, you could, that's really how you can relate to it. So perhaps if we then revisit this a bit later, if you let me know whether any of what I've just said resonates with you. Okay, so if you can just put that into the feed and see whether we then revisit it later. But can you do it? This will shift. It will move. Okay, it will move. Right. Okay. So. Okay. This is Nicola. Life Code 11. Heidi, you talked about how the intuitive sensitives were about to come into their own, but seeing what is happening in the USA, the life force seems to be devolving rather than evolving. Any comments? Thanks. I think you'll see, actually, I know what's happening in the US feels like something desperately unpleasant. Absolutely, it does. It feels like that. But I think as we move further in to this year, or more maybe into next year, so a little bit more into this year, into next year, it will feel like something is adjusting and changing. It's now come to a point. I would say it's come to a point where, to be absolutely honest with you, if there isn't a big adjustment of some sort or another, a lot of structures will fall to a level that is really unsustainable. Okay, a lot of the things that people rely on will fall to a level that's unsustainable. And although what's going on at the moment feels like it's outside of what we understand, it doesn't mean to say that it will be forever a level of what we don't understand. Okay, so Nicola, I don't think it's devolving, other than, yes, there are some situations where, it looks that way. I think you will see a significant adjustment as time moves forward. Okay, so Maria, hello. I will be facing an extremely stressful situation for the next 3 weeks. Any advice or meditation available that I can use to keep calm and things under control? Thanks in advance. Maria, Life Code 9. One of the big things, or one of the things that really help intuitive sensitives massively. Okay, Maria, you'll be surprised that actually, even though you're going to go through an extremely stressful situation over the next few weeks, you will surprise yourself how well you come through that. And the reason I'm saying that is because intuitive sensitives thrive on having some kind of forewarning on things and preparation. And that preparation time doesn't have to be a long time. It can be a short time, but that preparation time is often vital. And the fact that you're looking at this as a situation that will be extremely stressful, you're actually being honest with yourself, and therefore you'll actually be more equipped than you realise. One of the key things is to remember to breathe, Maria. I think if you manage to remember that, I know that sounds a bit peculiar, if you manage to remember that, you will see things and a path through, that will feel okay. Okay, not perfect, but okay. Remembering to breathe means breathing from the diaphragm, not from the chest. Again, lots of sensitives absolutely breathe from the chest area because the nervous system is on high alert, and so they have the habit of breathing from the chest. But as soon as you start breathing from the diaphragm, it adjusts everything. It adjusts the whole nervous system and really ups your ability to cope. Okay. Sophie, good evening, Heidi. My question is, how does someone who doesn't know their birth details, adopted and all formal records burned in the war, bomb damage, has an idea of age in terms of years and approximate months, but not the day of birth, make use of the life codes? Interesting. Okay. Tricky, very tricky, because it's everything to do with identity. When someone doesn't know their, where they come from and all of that kind of thing, their energy system still absolutely stores components of their history, even if they're not consciously aware of it. And so, that does create quite a pressure on their own system, because they still have that level of, they carry that level of awareness and that level of vibration. I would say when you have that as your life experience, what is helpful is allowing yourself to feel. So each year is allowing yourself to feel the vibration of that year, and you will start to feel which ones resonate with you the strongest. And the 110 years, so obviously this year, is a very good place to start within that, because it's the beginning cycle, but it's also the only energy that's split between two. Okay, it's the only one that's split between a very strong physical world and the deeper meaning in terms of the whole self. So it's good to kind of go with the deeper feel of how you feel as far as that's concerned. Okay, and how you use that in terms of your connection around the life codes. Okay, bearing in mind that each life code is relevant to everybody. Okay, it's just that your individual one gives you a deeper experience of what you resonate with, but doesn't mean to say that the tree as a whole isn't relevant to everybody. Okay. Just to briefly go back to Nicola's question about feeling that things are devolving rather than evolving. Bear in mind the 110 energy, okay, of this year. It's split between things that are very apparent in the physical. So we have this idea of what is very apparent in the physical. It's right up there, right in people's faces, right there, right now. What kind of remains hidden is the deeper meaning behind it. Okay, so there is a deeper meaning, and that will become more evident as time moves forward. And in a 110 year, the deeper meaning becomes evident sooner. So, Nicola, what I'm saying is hold out for that deeper meaning. It will become more evident later. Okay, at 110 at the top. Okay, so Elaine, going into the child energy, okay. Found shame and apathy really resonating. I'm right to give my inner child a voice, and she is so upset no one hears her. I'm trying to parent her, but I'm struggling to know what to do to help her. All areas, fun, acceptance, safe space, unconditional welcoming could apply. Couldn't this be reasons for unexplained dental issues? Any insight greatly appreciated. Thank you. Hugs, Elaine. Okay, so unexplained dental issues. When they are unexplained, where there isn't really an explanation, absolutely it's all to do with foundation and core safety, core aspects of safety. So yes, that would be very much connected to the inner child in its core aspects of, does it feel safe or not? Okay. Kim, hi Hadi, I've been nauseous this past month and have been having dreams where I vomit this thick cement, like porridge stuff. Sorry everyone. It's really disgusting. There's just so much of it. It coincided when I stopped taking my COQ10 tablets. Is there any connection to them? Many thanks. I can't give you an exact answer on that because I don't really know what the COQ10 do. Okay, so I can't really give you a precise answer as far as that part is concerned, but I can give you an answer as far as the porridge stuff is concerned. Okay, so as a life code 7, obviously, you know, 7s are very attached to the emotions, and they're very much they really experience that connection to emotions. And I think what's going on as far, and obviously we've moved into a year of new beginnings, so I think what you're actually experiencing, Kim, is the dreams, this thick cement stuff coming off, and the porridge stuff and it's coming up. It's all of that energy that gets trapped in the throat chakra. Okay, there's a lot of energy that stores in people's throat chakras because it's all those things that the voice that you've not been allowed, the voice that's been pushed back down, the voice that you thought, well, is that appropriate? It's the voice that wasn't allowed to express who it is. And at some point or another, definitely in your healing cycle, it starts to need to clear and to cleanse. And what your dreams are saying, Kim, is that stuff that's been stored inside was heavy as thick, and there's been a lot of it. So it's actually quite a strong release dream, Kim. I know it's not particularly pleasant at the moment, but I would say most certainly that's what it's related to. And so I'm not sure about the COQ10 tablet, so I'm not entirely sure what kind of impact that would have. Okay, so let me just have a look and see. Oh, okay. So Sophie saying, thank you, Heidi. I feel this person without complete birth details denies so much about themselves. Yet I feel they have all the awareness inside they choose to access. Adoption affects me personally also. So I'm interested in how I connect with the tree. Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing what, you know, even when someone doesn't know where they've come from, doesn't know, you know, where their birth parents are, all that kind of stuff. It's amazing the amount of information that's stored in their energy system. Huge amount of information. Just very briefly, I remember years ago, a lady came to see me because I think someone had recommended her. She came to see me because she wanted to know a bit more about her birth family. And she was thinking of going to find them. And just to explain that very quickly, I was able to give her very concise and very clear information on her birth family, including her siblings and the colour hair, that her birth mother had begun to dye her hair, and she changed her hair colour and all this kind of thing. She never met her, hadn't hadn't seen her or anything like that, had no contact. I told her exactly how this birth mother was going to behave, what kind of character she was, and how she would interact with this lady. And I said, well, I don't know, whether any of that's completely the case, but that's what I feel. And she came back, I think it was about 8 or 9 months later, and she said everything that I had said had proven completely right. She did make contact. Her maybe it was a year or so later, her birth mother had behaved in exactly the way I described, and she had dyed her hair, and she had dyed her hair the colour that I said. Now, how would I know that? How would I know, that information? It's because the energy system is so well connected to where it's come from, its roots, and that information that we share, that we walk around with, as part of ourselves, until quite often it comes to that point where our system wants to neutralize some of those energies, and that happens the more aware we become and the more self-aware we become. Quite often then it comes up to that stage of neutralizing that history, which is why many, and exactly as you're saying, which is even though adoption has been part of your personal experience, there would be a deep curiosity as far as that's concerned to know some of that history, because you can feel it. You can feel it in your frequency. You can feel it in your vibration. Okay, so Petrova. Hi Heidi, I moved to Thailand 40 days ago, but still can't quite find my place. Got into emotional eating and can't get my motivation for work. How can I deal with it? Is this journey for me alone, or allow others to help me? Life code 8. Okay, this is about you then allowing others in, and allowing others to help you. Yes, most certainly. And again, this is another child frequency and child vibration, which is the child self feels lonely. Okay, it's not the adult self, it's the child self feels lonely. And going to a different location has triggered that, and it's triggered it up to the surface. So we will do a process in a minute, because I think this is going to be something that's helpful as far as you're concerned. Okay, let me just double check. I'm just going back through your messages to have a look, to tell me whether these things I said earlier resonate. Yeah, okay, so quite a few of you saying yep, it resonates. Okay, so some of you saying yes a bit, and some are saying absolutely. Okay, right, so we will be doing that in a minute. Okay, so Karen, dear Heidi, I had my Reiki 2 attunement last Saturday, and my energies have been all over the place since. During the attunement, it was as if my heart burst open, flood of deep sadness. Since there's a lot going on in my head, and I've been a raging lunatic with my teenage daughter, all the anger I wasn't allowed to express as a child coming to the surface. What is going on? Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. It's an opening of, the heart center, possibly in a way that's too fast for you, because if it's been an energetic opening, it may be a little bit fast for your head to process. So again, in going in a moment, to have a look at some of the lost child energy and anger around that, and where it's felt it's been left out and all that kind of stuff that I was talking about earlier. I think you'll find that will calm down hugely, because yes, that can sometimes show that if you have pent up child energy, you can find yourself taking it out on someone like as a teenage daughter, because it's almost like the child is jealous of that person, that they have it easier than they have, and so that the child self can then start to behave in a way that tries to express that. And although yours will be very brief, Karen, for some people, and for those of you who've been on the receiving end of it, know that in some people it lasts a lifetime because they're not aware of it. They don't manage it. And also, Karen, you're a life code 9, so the unconscious will come up in a stronger way for you quite often. Okay, and that's what's happened with this Reiki attunement. Was it a bad thing to do? No, not at all. Better out than in. But yes, I can understand that it needs to be in a place where it's a little bit more manageable. Okay, so Teresa, hi Heidi, I'm having spells of utter contentment, centeredness, then swing to an emotional wreck. Most is tied with my relationship. We have come through so much, yet I still go from pure love to major bouts. And I'm simply carrying emotional debris I no longer need, or am I attempting to sabotage? Your insight would be greatly appreciated. Okay, so what you're doing, Teresa, again, the life code 9, is your patterns are panicking, and this is classic kind of signs of attachment type things and complete fear of abandonment. So you then push away in order to allow close. Have a look on, and this is for everyone, it's no harm in you familiarizing yourself with the different attachment styles. If you Google adult attachment styles, it'll come up, all the different ones. There's it's about, I think it's 4 or question me 5 as far as the insecure ones. See which one kind of resonates, and then you'll start to feel, oh, okay, maybe it's not, it's not me. Maybe it is. It is my pattern. It's my thing going on, and then you feel more comfortable with allowing that to calm down. I would guess that you might be a fearful avoidant. Okay, I wouldn't say necessarily anxious, preoccupied, but might be. It's good to have a little look as far as that's concerned. And then once you've had a look at that, as I said earlier about that, those 2 books, I think they are extremely helpful on this particular subject area. And the utter contentment, and then in the swing in the opposite direction, is a kind of guilt. Oh, should I be emotionally content? Oh, and so it then swings you in the opposite direction into shame for being in a position where you feel emotionally content. So you start to think, well, can I win here? But you will. It will balance out. It will balance out. But yes, I would say explore that particular route for that to balance out quicker. Okay, Yara. My health energy has been as about as low as it can go. I've been getting vertigo, but not just when I get up or in bed, but I got it while doing your meditation. How is that possible, and what is going on? Thank you for everything, Yara. Okay, sometimes it can be an inner ear thing, and again, it is that that kind of level of vertigo can be along those lines, and it can be linked in between, stress and relaxing. So sometimes, I know this sounds really bizarre, but if your system is wound up high, it can actually be a temporary stress to be relaxed. So as the parasympathetic nervous system kicks in to balance out and center, because you're not used to it kicking in, it can actually then cause you stress, and then that rise and that stress then would then create the vertigo scenario. I can feel it actually, Yara. I can feel that you really do suffer with that. I can feel that really quite strongly. How will it calm down? Let me just have a little look. It feels to me that there's something to do, and whether this resonates with you or not, I will, after this session, actually go back in there and have a little tidy up, Yara, but it feels like it's linked to a man, something to do with the stress around a man, okay? It's somehow linked as far as that's concerned, an inconsistency or an unpredictability as far as he's concerned. unpredictability of emotion, whether that's now or it has been in your past. But that's what the energy identifies with. I will clear it later after this session, okay? Because I can really feel that very strongly, Yara. Okay. Okay, so interesting question. This is from Kirsty. Heidi, can you explain the difference between reading energy, picking up intention, and picking up reading energy in a codependent way? Thank you so much, Kirsty. That's a really good question, because yes, absolutely. This, when you pick it up in a codependent way, you want to fix it, and it feels, really strong that you need to fix it. It's kind of like, I need to fix this. When in the other person, when you pick it up in a kind of healing way, it's much more of an observation of what's going on for that person, and you can observe it, but you observe it with empathy. It's kind of quite a distinction. It's kind of between a want to and a need to. Codependent way, it's a need. Want to is where you can observe it with empathy and think, oh, that's not particularly nice for them. How can I be of assistance there? How can I move that forward? Whereas when you need to, that's more of it looking at it in terms need to fix it or need to tell them. And it feels in a very, very intense way. Then it quite often it is the codependent aspect. Now, one of the other things I would suggest, and this is one of the ways that I use it as a marker, is if I'm talking to someone and something comes through and I think, should I say that? Should I not? I quite often don't, unless it comes up about 3 or 4 times and I can hear it really strongly and I think, okay, maybe I should mention this. And then quite often I'll say in my own thoughts, right, okay, if I want me to mention this, let them say something that's going to trigger, and this seems like it's appropriate to then give this as the answer. And 9 times out of 10, they will actually, quite incredible, they will say something, and I think, oh, okay, I'll give it to them then, because that's what I meant to pass over and to share with them. So, sometimes telling the difference is in the pause. Sometimes the pause is the crucial bit. Okay? Right, so what we're going to do now is going in and have a look at that lost child energy. Some of you will have it as anger, and some of you will have it as an energy of a resentment around being left out. And everyone's had it. Everyone's got this, regardless of whether you think that, your inner child is upset about something. The feeling left out energy of the inner child and how it relates to that, everybody has that, okay? Everybody has that. The freeze part, where it feels like it's going, it freezes, and the only way it can communicate what it needs is making itself clear. It's not necessarily by vocalizing, but by showing you in your body, which is the cat putting the legs out and saying, I'm not going out there, or the child going stiff and saying, I'm not sitting down, I'm throwing a tantrum, and so be it. But they can't necessarily communicate that, say why they are, but the reaction is the same. And then what it does is it creates in our internal world, it creates a stagnant feel, a feel that there is a massive resistance that we can't quite name or put anything to, because it doesn't make logical sense. That's how it then shows in our inner world. So we're going to go in and do this and do a process around this. Okay, so this lost child, this anger at its feeling of being left out. So you'll have an opportunity to look at all these different parts of that energy to see whether, excuse me, how it relates to your internal world. Okay, so one of them or all of them will make sense, and it's the opportunity for your system to feel acknowledged. So, or acknowledged or comforted. Okay, comforted is probably the right word. for it then to not need to freeze the body, lock it when it's trying to put its point across. So as an example, when I have 2 cats, one of them particularly, he says, I'm not going out there. When he does that whole, puts his legs out, says, I'm not going out that cat flap. Quite often, if I then turn him round and then stroke him for a minute, and tell him, comfort him, tell him it's all right, I put him down and he goes out the cat flap himself. And exactly the same quite often happens with when a child is forcing that. Quite often, the key thing to do is to hold them until they can calm down enough to then manage themselves, and then they quite happily calm down enough to sit down. It's not all the time, but it does happen. So it's the same principle in terms of our inner world. If we hold it when it's feeling stressed, that's all that's needed in order to release that frequency and release that vibration. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. We're going to do. So if you need the loo, do a quick loo dash. Because there's nothing more distracting than needing the loo whilst trying to go into a meditation. So quick loo dash, and I'll just have a quick look at this question that's on my screen right now. Okay, so Pavla, I'm just going to have a quick look at this question. Hi Heidi, my husband's narcissistic boss seems to behave really out of line. My husband gets paid an hourly payment as a speaker in a local radio station, and it depends on his boss how many hours he is assigned to do. For the last 2 years, he has been given less. Okay, yep. Oh dear, Pavla, this is typical, narcissistic person. Why is he behaving in this particular way? It's certainly not because he feels that your husband is incapable. It's actually very much to do with not wanting your husband to overtake him in lines of popularity. There's that. And also that he doesn't, your husband's boss doesn't feel that he sucks up to him enough. He's one of those kind of narcissist. Your husband is actually really quite stressed by this, and again, after the session, like Yara's, I'll move this off. Okay, I'll move that energy off because he feels quite startled as far as that's concerned, which it isn't surprising. Not very nice, not nice at all. Okay, so ready? Let's go in. So if you can do this as an eyes closed process, absolutely. If you can't, then just do it as an eyes open. So it's not appropriate for you to do that as an eyes closed, but then absolutely do it as an eyes open. It still works in the same way, but obviously eyes closed is preference because it shuts out your external world. Okay, so close your eyes and focus on your breathing. Deep breath in, slow breath out, allowing your thoughts to roll around your head and disappear on the out breath, allowing the body to relax and the mind to remain alert. Take your attention to the base energy and breathing in through the base, up the internal tube and out through the crown. In through the base, up the internal tube and out through the crown. On the next in-breath, feel your awareness being drawn in through the solar plexus If you can't see, then sense. And in this space, find yourself in the internal corridor. If you can't see, then sense. And as you move along the internal corridor, allow a bright yellow energy to pass through this vibration. Feel yourself moving deep into the solar plexus. As you go deeper, you feel the vibration switch from yellow to a red colour, a reddy orange or a deep red. The more anger that you are moving into will determine the hue of the colour red. And feel in your internal world the intensity as you move deeper into the solar plexus. And in this space at the end of the corridor, feel it narrowing and the red becoming deeper and stronger. And push the door open at the end of the corridor. As you step in, feel the redness around you, the intensity of anger. Perhaps it's clear, perhaps it's vocalized, or perhaps it's stored deep inside. And in this space, step in to the vibration of powerlessness. In here, you will find the lost child energy. Allow yourself to see or sense what that looks like. Is it your lost child energy, your parents, or your ancestors, or all three? Allow yourself to see or sense whose powerlessness you are storing in here and the depth of that red. Notice if that red is such a deep colour that it's turning dark. Allow yourself to see or sense. And become aware of the age at which this energy at first felt powerless. That it felt it could not communicate its emotions, or that when it did, no one heard. Just allow yourself to see or sense the age at which this energy was stored. If it's yours, or your parents, or your ancestors, the age at which the energy first was stored. Was first stored in them, or first stored in you? And in this space, allow yourself to go in to find this lost child vibration. As you move in here, allow yourself to see or sense that deeply angry and resentful child. Notice if it's you, or your parent, or an ancestor. And as that child tries to push you away, keep you away, rises in its anger, tries to scare you, tries to hurt you, whatever it is that this child tries to do, move towards it and hold it close. Hold on to it. Hold on to it, close. And feel in the adult self the energy of forgiveness, and feel it move through the adult self as this lost child energy you are holding begins to relax. And let yourself see or sense the red drain away. And feel a sense of huge expansion in the solar plexus. And feel the room that you went into, that sensation of powerlessness, dissolve. And in your mind, let this child speak to you, if it's still there, or notice if it's dissolved or disappeared. And become aware of anything that it has to say. And leaving this child in this room, allow yourself to say goodbye to it. Notice how it feels when you leave. And feel your awareness moving up the stairs to the heart center. As you reach the top of the stairs, feel your awareness push in to the center of the heart vibration. At the top of the stairs, you move in to the center of the heart. And in this space, see or sense the energy that's stored in here, that's felt left out. That's felt left out of inclusion. That's felt left out in its life. That's felt left out in the cold. Just allow yourself to see or sense this energy. And the disappointment it's held in the heart center. Disappointment and the pain that it's held in this heart frequency. Allow yourself to see or sense what its experience has been, where it's felt left out. And in your mind, allow yourself in this heart center energy to see or sense the resentment and the anger. And feel where the heart is reminded of the times where it's felt deeply wounded by feeling left out, and how that left out emotion has left a residue of anger in the heart. And in becoming aware of this vibration, feel the intensity as it lifts. Allow yourself to feel the sensation of the resentment lifting and dissolving, and the feeling passing from feeling left out to inclusion. And feel that expansion in the heart center, the vibration of inclusion. And in that space, in the heart center of inclusion, feel all the things to include in your life. And feel all the things you are yet to include in your life. The people and the kindness in here. Just allow yourself, even if it's for a moment, to truly experience it. And begin to feel in the heart center that sense of deep inclusion. And feel that heart center energy expand. And as it expands right the way through the body, allow yourself, even if it's for a moment, to feel that deep, deep connection to inclusion and love. And in your mind, throwing roots out from the bottom of your feet, planting them deep into the earth. Feel the expansion through the body. Feel the inclusion within. And feel, even if it's for a moment, that all is at peace in your inner world. And focusing on your breathing. Allow your system to come back to the physical world. Feel the expansion through the body as you focus on your breathing. Bringing your attention back into the room. And when you're ready, open your eyes. Okay, so you should start to feel really quite, oh, that's quite nice. When I went in there to start with, the resentment was huge. Huge, deep, deep red. Very, very deep red. Some of you had a very dark red. It was almost a black red, you know, that kind of black red. Really, really angry. Really angry. Very much that sense of powerlessness. A lot of you on the collective had it spread through generations. So you had some yourself, but it was much stronger going through the parental line, and even stronger in the ancestors. It was really strong there. The resentment was huge as far as they were concerned. And I would say that is, that kind of goes back to the stronger times of children are seen and not heard, and children don't matter, all of that kind of thing. No one matters until they're an adult. The resentment in your ancestors around that vibration was huge, really big. And even if you thought you had a child feeling powerless in there, the ancestors was the resentment in the ancestors' powerlessness was huge, massive, monumental, really, really strong. When we went in there, I'm obviously talking about the collective, the collective frequency as far as that's concerned. When it moved from the solar plexus up into the heart, again, that feeling, I think the really strong one was about being left out. I think that was stronger than the lost one. As a collective, the energy was strong as far as feeling left out was concerned. But the strongest one was the powerlessness, okay, as that frequency, and certainly in going in there to solve it, okay. Looking at some of the things that you had here that you're mentioning, yeah, absolutely. Wow, so much sadness and pain, choked in the throat, so many generations, absolutely. That was really, really strong, the generation stuff. In the resentment room, there was a large pit, so I could only stand at the edge of the room. Once the resentment went, the floor foamed up and I could stand in the middle. Excellent. Goody good. I took the child with me, I didn't leave it behind. Okay, fine, absolutely fine. Being left out is a big one for me. Hopefully that started to feel better, because that was being left out was huge on a collective, really, really big. Dark blood red. My child was screaming upset, saying they were supposed to care about me and keep me safe too, over and over. That's really good, Anna, that you've gone in and seen that and felt that, because then that energy feels acknowledged. Okay. Many of you don't realise the power in acknowledgement, massive power in acknowledgement, huge amounts of power in acknowledgement, does major steps towards healing something, okay? Nightly review, brilliant. The bonus 3, brilliant. Exhausted. Okay. Although I was feeling deep sadness, lots down my cheeks when in the solar plexus. Can't stop crying now. It will clear, it will cleanse, because it's matching this higher frequency, higher vibration. My child was very angry. It's the acknowledgement, as I say, I can't keep saying this enough. The acknowledgement is massive, huge. And actually this takes me on to what I have to say actually about next week's masterclass. What you'll find that comes out to you tomorrow, so it should be out tomorrow, is a quiz. I'm sending you a quiz, okay? And this is in relation to adversity, okay? There is a massive amount of evidence to suggest that your foundational experience has a huge impact on your sensitivity, your health, your well-being, and certainly on as far as anxiety levels are concerned. So if you feel that your life is moving ahead and then moving kind of sideways or backwards, and you think, crying out loud, this should be much easier. Why is it so hard? Feels like I've come in on something that's so damn hard. Why is it easier for everybody else and not for me? This quiz is not about making it uncomfortable for you at all. It's actually hugely about acknowledgement, okay, and realizing that absolutely these things are not your fault. Okay. Now, when you get what's called your ACE score, when you do the quiz, there's two sets of questions as far as it's concerned. The first part is the ACE questions, so that's the early adversity questions, and then which is the original study. Okay, so and then what I've done is added some questions to that as far as your sensitivity is concerned and how you experience things in adult life. Then at the end of the quiz, depending on, which ACEs that you have in terms of your adverse childhood experience, will give you, what I've done on that quiz is then giving you a brief description as to the types of things that you would be experiencing in your life now. Now, this isn't to frighten you or anything like that, because this was a major study, and it was done, the first one was done in back end of the 1990s, and since then there's been a huge amount of research since, because without doubt, there is no doubt whatsoever that it has, certain factors have a strong impact on your adult life and all of that. Now, before you think, oh crikey, am I at point of no return? Absolutely not, because one of the biggest areas of how your brain solves these pathways, what happens is your nervous system then develops a different path, okay? And the fact is that it has developed a different path, that without doubt, or a lot of you in your scenarios, whether it's personal to you, or whether it's been personal to your parents, or personal to your ancestors, it adjusts the neurological framework, okay, and it adjusts it permanently, unless you do exactly what you're doing, which is, in order to change that, you have to interact with the pathways, you have to interact with the nervous system, you have to interact with those neurological pathways. The brain is plastic, as in it has a plasticity about it, so you can change, absolutely you can change those pathways, but they don't change on their own. They won't change on their own. You have to interact with them. Hence, all this, the work that you do, all of that, definitely with the meditations. Meditations are vital as far as that's concerned, because it's proven to change the plasticity and those pathways, okay, to much stronger foundations, much stronger ways of looking at things. Now, the quiz comes out tomorrow, it'll be sent to you, and it's not to frighten you or anything like that, absolutely not. It's about acknowledgement, okay? It's about your system having, there's a huge power, as I just said, in acknowledgement, massive amount of power as far as that's concerned. And what I'm saying is, you'll start to go, oh wow, you might immediately go, whoa, and then you'll go, wow, actually. Because when you feel that you can interact with your own system and what it needs to do or wants to do as far as its healing path is concerned, the acceleration along that is huge. And actually you then, it's like, and I'm sure many of you have heard, me say this before, it's the broken vase scenario. It feels initially in life, or you may feel as a sensitive, that you're in a vase that's been smashed. And it then gets put back together, okay? And yes, it's not going to be a perfect porcelain vase, but actually, in it being put back together and very finely put back together, the pattern that's created is more stunning and beautiful than the original vase. And that's the masterpiece that you are, and the masterpiece that you are creating and firming up within your inner world. And that's making me really quite emotional, because that's what it is. It's something that shines a light and reflects a light in a much stronger way than a perfect vase ever could. So when that comes out, which is tomorrow, I'm asking that you complete it. It won't take you very long. It'll take you about, 5 minutes or so. Very, very easy to do. And next Tuesday, the 7th of Feb, I will be doing a masterclass on that particular subject, which you will find, I promise you will find extremely fascinating. Okay? Really quite fascinating. So what I'm saying to you is that you are amazing. You're extremely strong. Every single one of you is utterly, completely and utterly amazing. And what I'm saying to you is just to reaffirm to you that all the work that you do, the inner work that you do, is well worth it. And absolutely, that level of courage is rewarded in life. And it may not feel like it immediately, but believe me, it is. So absolutely will say to you, do your best, 10 minutes a day, do one of the meditations. There's plenty in the circle, there's plenty in there for you to go in and do. Do one a day. If you can do one a day, just 10 minutes, it makes a massive, massive difference to any kind of things that you're going through at the moment that feel a bit of a challenge or a bit sticky or a bit difficult. Okay, and this one that we've just done is a perfect one to go back to. If you feel that something is in your life that you feel, that's kind of freezing, or you feel a bit powerless around, and it needs solving and settling. Okay, so remember, absolutely remember, that you are that perfect vase. And I'm saying to you, not as in perfectly smooth, perfectly patterned, and what's the word? Unique and utterly beautiful. So I'll say goodbye for this session, and have a great evening, afternoon, daytime, wherever it is that you are. And I really, really look forward to seeing you soon. Bye for now.